Hello and welcome back to the Sports Centre YouTube channel. So today's video we're continuing with the theme of looking at the teams that have qualified for the Champions League from England and what do they need to identify as their summer transfer targets. Now today we are looking at Arsenal. Now this video could be wrapped up pretty quick if you ask me, because everyone knows apart from Mikel Arteta that Arsenal need a striker. There. Video done. Simple as that. No, seriously though, Arsenal need a striker, and it's baffling me a little bit. Not baffling me, but it's interesting that the first signing that Arsenal are going to make this summer is a midfielder, Martin Zubimendi. Don't get me wrong, decent player. Do I think his value for money? I think is it €60 million release clause? I do. I really do. I think it'll be a good addition to Arsenal, to the Premier League. However, should that money, €60 million, it is a fair bit of money, and people might say, well, it's nothing in today's climate. Maybe so. But hear me out. That money, especially with all the PSR and the FFP stuff going on these days, it's a fat-ass chunk of money that I think Arsenal should be splashing first and foremost into a striker, because what does the market tell us these days? That, I don't know, your top class striker are going to cost anywhere between 80 to 150 million pounds. You think about Alexander Isak, what's he valued at? 120, 130, something like that. You look at Liverpool with Florian Wirtz. Leverkusen are looking for around about 130 million euros or something along those lines. So these big players, these big targets that people are wanting, they're in the echelons of 100 million plus. And £60 million, because we all know how these deals are structured, it might be a case of 120 million over 3-4 years or whatever. £60 million, a big chunk of that, where you could use that as a down payment for your top target, which we all know, again, Arsenal's top target should be a striker. So interesting, that, really interesting. And I dare say Mikel Arteta will be under a lot of pressure already. And if he doesn't get a number 9 through that door sooner rather than later, that pressure, that dial will start to turn up a few more notches. Not only from the media, because the media will be obviously absolutely hammering them about it, but from Arsenal fans as well. And I'm not an Arsenal fan, so I don't speak for Arsenal fans, but I dare say that Arsenal fans will be literally screaming down each other's throats, down the pubs, down each other's throats in the text messages, in the chats, the forums, social media, wherever they can. Arsenal fans will be screaming this summer, get me a striker, Mikel. Now, we know that they're linked with a couple. Sesko is one they're getting linked with, and is it, I don't know if I pronounce his name right, but Gyökeres as well from Sporting Lisbon. He's also one that Arsenal potentially have been linked with. However, for me, these guys are risks. And what I mean by risks is the Premier League is not for the faint-hearted. You know, we've seen that with strikers like Rasmus Højlund that came into the league with a big price tag. I think it was around about 70 million, 75 million, something like that. Big expectations. Darwin Núñez, another one at Liverpool, massive price tag between 70 and 80 million. Big expectations, you know, scored goals across in Europe. Comes to the Premier League, it's tough. It's fucking tough. Then, you know, and these players are showing that the Italian league and the Portuguese league and other leagues over in Europe are not the same as the Premier League. The Premier League is a tough old slog. And for Arsenal not to be looking at the tried and tested is a risk for me. And here is where I think they missed a trick last summer in not getting Ivan Toney. Now, don't get me wrong. People who are watching this video now, Arsenal fans, might be saying, well, he didn't want to come to us. He wanted to go for the big bucks over in Saudi Arabia. And listen, that may be the case. I don't know that, so I'm not so sure. But for Arsenal to let a player of Ivan Toney go to Saudi Arabia when they could have locked him down for at least 2 or 3 decent years. Look, Ivan Toney were tried and tested in the Premier League. He scored goals. He scored free kicks. He scored penalties. He scored headers. He was a complete striker. There's not many strikers that I would class as an outright number 9. You know, there's the Harry Kane. There's probably some other ones like, but there's not that many. You know, you get a lot of false 9s these days. You get a lot of number 10s and things like that, attacking wide players, but out and out number 9s, like your Harry Kanes, like your Haaland, and like your Ivan Tonys, are hard to come by. And for Arsenal to let him go over to Saudi Arabia, potentially without putting up a real hard fight, it was a weird one for me. A really, really strange one, because, as I say, he was tried and tested. He was primed. He was ready to go at a big club. And like I say, he might have gone for the pay money. He might have thought, I've done all I can in terms of building up through the lower leagues. I'm going to go out to Saudi now and I'm going to play out there for 2-3 seasons. I'm going to earn a shitload of cash and I'm going to make mine and my family's future financially sound. That may have been the case. I don't know. But again, Arsenal missing out on these targets. Liam Delap is another one as well, which potentially they're going to let slip through the fingers. Not as tried and tested as Ivan Toney is, but he's got Premier League experience. Chelsea look like they're going to get him. So these opportunities are passing Arsenal by, and it's a weird one. Unless Mikel Arteta and the Arsenal board have literally pinpointed the exact player or the exact type of player who they want, and they're not willing to budge. And listen, if that's the case, I admire that, because my club did that with Virgil van Dijk. We wanted Van Dijk, and it didn't matter what it cost. He was our man, and look, he's one of the best centre-backs ever to play the game, I dare say. So if that's the Arsenal's tactics, I completely, I get it. But it's going to be a tough season for Arteta, because Arsenal fans will demand silverware this season, because they've not had decent cup runs recently. They had a decent Champions League run, so you know they've they've got to that semi-final. The Premier League, they've been competing now on the last 2-3 years with City, not so much with Liverpool last season, but obviously the 2 previous seasons before, they've been up there competing with City. They've had a sniff, they've had a taste, they can taste that silverware. They want it though. They want to see Martin Odegaard, they want to see Bukayo Saka parading around North London with that trophy, and that'll have been made even worse at the fact as well that their rivals over the road, Tottenham, were parading around North London in an open top bus with the Europa League. Arsenal will not like that, the fans won't like that. So, Mikel Arteta, if you don't pull your socks up next season, honestly, I can see it turning ugly. And look, I'm not an advocate of stuff like that, but he's had a long time now in this job, and the fans will be demanding silverware. And I think they're only a couple of pieces away from getting that silverware. I think the back four's decent. They've got some great strength in depth. The midfield's pretty good. They've just showed up with the signing of Zubimendi. That front three now, I think potentially a striker is your main one, and maybe someone to compete with Martinelli on the left-hand side. But let me know in the comments, guys, what you think. Arsenal fans, let me know if there's any other areas across the pitch where you think you need strengthening, apart from the number 9, apart from the obvious. And yeah, give me a thumbs up if you like the video, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button right now. I'll catch you in a bit.